What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Hologram. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's been really coming out from the company itself and why the company is starting to really panic and how you can tell. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Friday, it went down 8.01%, hitting a new 52-week and all-time low of $5.34. Absolutely crazy. Still very low volume though, so 1.3 million shares being traded, 1.4 is the average. So when it comes down to the company, they have been putting out news again. So you can kind of see this news right here. So MicroCloud Hologram announces progress in quantum enhanced imaging based on non-local effects, and so you can kind of see it came out on the 22nd, and honestly all these PRs are just AI created. So at the end of the day, someone's not behind the scenes kind of typing it up on what they're doing. They are just relying on AI. And it's kind of interesting. Notice how when DeepSeek was very popular, they mentioned that they're going to be using DeepSeek and blah, 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 that a lot of their PRs kind of included that. That has just dropped off. Again, even further showing that this company is just a hype-based stock. But they also did put out news on the 20th. So this one right here must have had some good kind of hashtags and keys, because this did cause a abnormal bump up in the volume. It was rather short-lived. They also did put out this news as well, and that was on the 16th. So they are starting to put out more and more news. And usually, at least if history repeats itself, that shows that they are worried about the stock price. And one thing that did happen, like I said, on the 20th, you did see a abnormal bump up in the volume, as you can kind of see right here. So on the 20th, there was 3.1 million shares being traded. And normally what has at least occurred in the past is you see a very plus like 20 plus green day, and it's huge because they like to kind of hide a lot of their dilution through these PRs. But the moral of the story, as I've shared with you in the past, is all of this only works if retail buys it. If you have a lot of these toxic debt instruments behind the scenes and they are diluting, that only works if there is buyers. If not, this is why you go down. So they did try to dilute on May the 20th, cause a little bit of a spike first thing, high of 715, and then it still dropped because of no buyers. And the culprits are, I've seen some comments in the past asking, oh, who are these insiders and blah, blah, blah. It is these, what they call as strategic entities. So Tiger Initiative Investment, Lucky Monkey, Best Road Holdings, and Import and Export Jiong Development. Those are the culprits behind the scenes that have all these notes, which, on a side note, for those of you that are wanting to know what is coming next, unfortunately, this upcoming week, most likely you will see another prospectus. Possibly it might be early the following week, but nonetheless, it will be coming very, very soon. As I've shared with you, a lot of these kind of prospectuses and short-term notes are coming due, and they're going to be issuing more and more prospectuses to pay off the pre-existing ones. So it is rather unfortunate, but at the same time, you should see a huge bump up in also dilution. So they will be continuing their PR blitzes. If anything, they might step it up. Just clearly they are trying to find what the algorithm really does like to really incentivize some buying. But again, all of this only occurs and works if there is buyers. And based on everything, I feel like the sentiment is at all-time low. People are kind of catching on to a lot of these Chinese companies that don't really do all that much. Hologram definitely doesn't do anything at all. MicroAlgo, at least from my understanding, they do have a true fundamental business. They don't have convertible debt products, so they're, again, maybe a real company. Just people do not want them because they might not, I don't know, maybe it's not desirable of a business, but they are getting absolutely slaughtered. Same with the parent company, Wimi, right over here. So they're getting absolutely slaughtered as well. So I think Wall Street is just kind of catching on to a lot of these stocks, unfortunately. And at the end of the day, still a lot of retail investors who are kind of left holding the bag. This is going to be a very expensive learning lesson. And even what I've mentioned, there is going to be another reverse stock split Q3 of this year, and some people have disagreed with me on that. I was 100% or close to 100% accurate last reverse stock split. I mentioned it mid last year, saying that in Q2 they're going to be doing Q1 that they are going to be doing a reverse stock split. I did miss it by exactly 1 week or a couple of weeks. So April 21st, 2025 is when they did the one for 40. So it's 21 days off, even though I mentioned it almost about 7-8 months prior to that. And yeah, it's honestly, the writing's on the wall. A lot of people might disagree with me that they will not be doing one in Q3, but with a lack of buyers, this is going to really escalate, go down very, very fast. So obviously a lot of these entities will be needing to dilute. So that's basically what they're going to be doing. They're going to be diluting, selling. And if there's no buyers, you're going to have this occur almost every single day, down 8 to 10% until it does get to kind of that $2 range. Then this is where you'll probably have them have another kind of shareholder meeting, emergency shareholder meeting, to enact a reverse stock split. So it's not a good scenario, like I said. And this is probably why I will be starting to, instead of doing one video every single week of Hologram, I'll kind of push it back to 2, only because I think I've said my piece with this company. Anyone willing to buy it at this stage in the game, you guys have different risk tolerances than I think even the riskiest investors out there. You literally are trying to hit blackjack just off of one hand, going all in. So you definitely, some people like that. Let's have at it. Maybe Hologram will turn things around, but yeah, and a lot of people are just blaming shorts on the side note. So based on this, again, if you do believe that dilution is not occurring behind the scenes, and take this for face value, but 20.81% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 794.98 thousand shares. So this is probably why it does lure in some retail investors. They see this and say, hey, it's heavily shorted, low float based on this, of course, and then you do just look at the stock price, like, hey, it's down 99.6%. This is going to spike as what has happened in the past. I'm going to be rich. So there's a certain level of retail investors that do that. Will be looking at Hologram, but I think most of Wall Street has caught on to Hologram's scam and is completely done. So let me know your thoughts on this company. Are you still buying it? Are you still what are you selling it? Are you taking the loss? Are you too much of at a loss to really even care? What's your general thoughts on Hologram? One final thing, if you are actually looking for some good buy signals, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.